Big hey now, and happy Wednesday. Must be Wednesday, it is. Hope you guys are doing great out there. Today, going to be the first of probably a series of actuator-related streams. These should be pretty quick ones, but just focusing in on the actuator dashboard and how to quickly identify opportunities. Now, anybody who follows me knows that I'm super interested in HEX and HEX staking. And currently, HEX staking ladder, give or take a little bit, you can reliably earn 5% APR across the entire ladder. It varies depending how you set it up. And that's in HEX terms, right? In HEX terms. So every year, simple APR, not compounded, right? Gets compounded by how the system might operate, in terms of what other people do. Typically, your APR goes up per year. The longer you're in, the higher the APR per year. That's just because T-shares drop out. But for the sake of argument, 4 or 5% is pretty reasonable to assume that the average is going to be right around there. And that's competitive with treasuries, right? So the fact that it's competitive with treasuries, big deal. It's a big deal, right? And then, because it's kind of like getting treasuries, but with exposure to, significant upside of crypto, right? We all know crypto's crazy. You may say it's going to go up 10x, HEX will go up in 10x, maybe it goes up 100x, maybe it goes up 200x, maybe it's 50x, insert your own number there. But the concept is we're pretty likely really close to whatever the future bottom would be. We're not, we're closer to the bottom of HEX than probably the top. And that being the case, we're kind of like in this situation where, even an APR of 5% is pretty significant, at 100x, right? Because you get that compounding effect because of the price appreciation. So in simple terms, when I'm talking about staking HEX and getting a ladder, it's to lock in the HEX and at least some rewards that are, I wouldn't call it completely passive, but it's pretty steady state, right? You're able to get your staking ladder set up and off you go. All right, so why am I bringing up HEX? Well, that's kind of our benchmark, right? That's what HEX does. It provides you that opportunity. But some people are holding liquid. They're not willing to stake for whatever reason. And we have this actuator protocol out here, which also involves HEX staking, but there's a lot more to do with actuator than just staking. Right? There's a lot of things, and so we're gonna kind of fine tune this and look very specifically at the type of opportunities that come up on a daily basis with actuator. And this is for education purposes. You guys, everybody doesn't have to go participate, but it's good to know, maybe learn about this, because I think this could become very big. In the future. I mean, right now, I think total liquidity in this system is right around $500,000. If that being the case, right, at 10x value, it's $5 million, right? That's big, right? At 100x, now we're talking about $50 million worth of value. And so in the future, actuator could be very much something you need to know about and want to know about. But what I'm going to show you today is how to obtain virtually risk-free HEX yield. Okay, we're going to do that by going to their website, their dashboard. We're going to go look at that. I did lie. I'm going to show you guys a chart. I did say I was going to show you charts, but I'm going to show you a quick chart just to explain things. Now, in the whole actuator ecosystem, the way it's set up is that people, and you don't have to, you could be one of the people who actually goes out and mints in new HTTs, but you don't have to be to participate, right? And that's what we're going to fine tune here or dig into. Some people, for whatever reason, I don't need to know why they did it. They minted HTTs and they put them on the market. All right. They minted them for whatever their reason might be. Right. They minted them, so they exist. So I don't need to spend a lot of time worrying about, well, why did they do that? They exist. And why is it important that HTTs exist? Well, we have HTTs for each year that have already been created. I say year, but it's really HEX days. We've got an HTT 3000 redemption date on HEX day 3000. We have a 4000 redemption date on day 4000. We have a 5000 redemption date on 5000, etc. All the way to 7000. Next year, they'll add an 8,000 to it. And so these HTTs represent one hex in the future. So one HTT is one hex in the future. And the expectation is, and I think this is what we'll see happen, let me show you on the screen, is that the price will go up over time of an HTT to equal what a hex is, right? So what does that mean? Well, currently, for instance, an HTT 7000 is a very, very significant discount, something like 55% discount, 54% discount. If we chart that, and this is just a kind of like a linear chart. I mean, this could, actual value may differ based on trading and everything everybody does. But from today, day 2144, through day 7000, you would expect that the value of an HTT is going to go up until it equals almost a 1 or maybe even a little bit more than a 1 hex, right? And so that's important because, what we're basically saying is that over time, they'll equalize and one HTT will be worth 1 hex. And if the market doesn't give you that value, at the redemption date, what you're able to do is just turn the HTT in and redeem it for 1 hex. And no matter which way, no matter what this curve looks like, at the end, on day 7000, 1 HTT equals 1 hex, right? And for this particular one. And that's important. That's important. All right, so let me show you why it's important. So now I'm going to go over to these guys' dashboard. Let's pull theirs up. Won't let me automatically show it. There we go. Had to get it there. Let's see. There's me on the screen with it. There it is, full time. All right. So you can see this is their Actuator.Finance dashboard, and that is Actuator.Finance. The name is in the link is in the show notes. Right, so you can go there and see it. And right off the bat, we can look at the screen, and there's a couple things that you can pick up right away. Is it says to you right on the screen, right up there, top left-hand side. What does it say? All right, best total return, HTT 7000, best total return. All right, 121% fixed return. All right, that's a round up. So if we go to the bottom right here, you can see the HEX time tokens listed, and I put them in order by discount. You see this HTT 7000. So currently, the HTT 7000 has a discount of 54%, almost 55%. So that is significantly undervalued. Now, you could do the math on it and figure it out and do it every day. Right? Whenever you look at this, right now it's undervalued, maybe about 10%. Right? So it's undervalued about 10%, meaning it's cheaper than it should be by about 10%. So this dashboard, boom, right off the top, tells you what the best return will be. You could actually take, let's say you were planning to stay, liquid with the HEX for a while, and you're going to keep it to the, maybe you would even consider keeping it to day 7000 in HTT. Well, you can effectively take your HEX right now, go swap it for the 7000. You do have to be careful with slippage, so there's some limitations, maybe in $3,000 to $5,000 worth of swapping value. You get the 7000, you get it at the at whatever the discount is, 54, 55%, and you basically lock in 9% APR for the next 13 years. And at the end, right, if you add that all up, that's 120% return. And this is all in HEX terms, right? So it's not, this is before we apply dollar values or anything else, right? In dollar values, it would just be dollar value times that. But so the very first thing, and this is the tip of the day, is if you come to this website, first thing you do is go look and say, okay, which one is the best deal? It tells you right on the screen. They set it up that way so people can show it. You see it, but behind the scenes, the math is there. You can go figure out all the math on each one of them. And this one right now is underpriced, 7,000. And then you can see the different discounts for each one of them: the 5,000, the 6,000, 4,000, etc. A couple of them are overpriced, right? So like currently, I believe the 5 and the 7 and the 3 are all underpriced. And the 4 and the 6,000s are overpriced. But that gets us to some other more complicated strategies. But right off the top, if you had some HEX that you wanted to appreciate in value over time, and utilizing the HTTs, you would swap it into the cheap HTT and just watch it go up, in value. Very simple, straightforward. No additional staking required in that case, because what you're doing is you're obtaining the HEX, which is that backs those HTTs that somebody else already used to mint. Right. And so, worst case, you would keep it today 7,000 and you have a HEX. Best case, primary liquidity with Actuator HTT 7000s is HEX. It's HEX, right? So without anybody doing anything, if HEX goes up by 100x, HTT 7000 price goes up by 100x until people sell and buy and sell and that type of thing, right? But I mean, it's priced based on HEX. And so there are some people that play the angle of, hey, listen, this is a way for me to earn additional reward, additional value, because the price of the HTT will go up over time while waiting for the top. And then perhaps they would, they would withdraw or sell at the top, right? And not keep their tokens. So why does all this matter? Well, first off, as I'm showing you, this math's all done for you. It's right on the site. They have a couple of different options. When they tell you what the best return is, what the best premium is, that's when something's more expensive, and then which one's giving you the best APR, right, in terms of percentages, right? And so, why this matters is, to my knowledge, this is the first on-chain yield curve for HEX. It's part of the Actuator.Finance ecosystem. So it's this whole HEX ecosystem, which could be pretty impressive over time. And then typically short-term HTTs, the shorter ones should have lower APRs, right? But when we look at the 3,000, for instance, people have been doing some trading and whatnot, and they open up opportunities because they're doing something, right? With their, they're doing something with whatever their plans are, which causes a change in the market, which causes the price to drop, which means, you can get something like an HTT 3000 and be able to earn 9.34% over the next 2.3 years, right? Until 2028, you get a total return of 21%. So there's strategies. People will be looking at this information and they'll go, well, let me see, perhaps I'll get this undervalued HTT 3000 because I'm planning to do something in 2028, as an example. Sharing a room with my dog. That's what I get. She wants to talk on the stream. All right. So so like I say, this is the first on-chain yield curve for HEX. You can see the longer The longer 7,000s, they can also be discounted, depends what people are doing. And so what we can do, and we'll do this on future streams, start looking at other strategies, right? Like, how do you use this information to amplify stakes? How do you, take advantage of these little options are here. So the tip of the day today is come to the website, look for, the best return that you can get. And if you have idle HEX or some other asset that you want to move into HTT 7000s, you would swap for HTT 7000 and then execute whatever your strategy is for that. And so next time you come here, don't just look at the price, look at the discount to HEX, because that is what will show you what your yield is. That's what will show you what your yield is. And then looking into the chat, I see Lucky Luke out there. Yes. We are yield lovers. And Mike Man, Wearly, how are you? Yeah, Jay Soul. She might have been saying that. I think she was actually saying, "Get out of my yard. Get out of my yard." She's an older dog. You kids. And Moonmuck, good to see you as well. Shell Fox, good to see you. All right, friends. So that's a pretty quick one. Not a lot of time. If you guys have questions about Actuator, drop them in the chats later, or send them in with the YouTube. But again, take a look at the website, get a feel for it, understand what's happening there. I think we're going to see opportunities that will pop up. And right now, the opportunity on market is to swap for 7,000 at a severely discounted price. So that's today's tip. You guys stay crispy, and we'll come back again with another one of these. And I guess I no longer have outro videos set for my site, so I got to add it in there. Should probably get a pretty good one. Let's do this one. I'm ready. I'm going to do Mr. T. Mr. T here. All right, you guys stay crispy. See you next time.
Yo, T. Urgent HEX buy signal. Charts flaming hot.
Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares.
Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it! Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.